Well, hello. Thanks for joining this moment to think about what I like to call my favorite time management trick. Thought about calling it a hack, but as you ponder the term hack, hacks in the actual computer world are not good people. So maybe it's a hack, maybe it's a trick on the system, but trick works fine for me. So hold on to that thought. Time management trick. So time management has been one of these areas that I've gotten okay at because I'm so bad at it. So I tend to be, I think, what you'd call a lateral thinker, right brain, etc. So I'm kind of going like this. One time, one of my people that worked for me said, "Let me ask you, is it like a jumbled mess in your lane, like bing, 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 bing?" So maybe you relate to this. And I said, "No, it's more like a whole bunch of folks in a marathon. See, we're all running basically in the same direction, but it's a lot of variety in that regard." So as I've wrestled with this down through the years, there's something I was in a few years ago, a coaching program, and the fellow that was leading it, friend named Perry Marshall, who's kind of the guru of Google, I guess, Google advertising. Perry offered a contest, and in this contest, the grand prize or some other prizes. Grand prize was a iPad Mini; they were brand new or something like that. And so we're supposed to submit our ideas for time management. As I was wrestling with that, I invented this thing I'm going to show you today. And lo and behold, in the whole competition, it turned out I won. So I got an iPod Mini, which I then traded with my son for a different Kindle that he had. So the iPod fit him and the Kindle fit me. So, because I already had an iPad, not iPod. But I want to show you that trick. I want to show it to you because, let's think about the situation as homeschoolers, okay? So as homeschool moms and dads working with kids, and really what we're trying to teach our kids, we can get quite disruptive, especially if you're involved in life. So you got things with the church you do, and you have things with, I don't know, some civic responsibility. You work with the swim team, you work with the ballet, you work with all kinds of things. And in this process of working with all these things, a number of things come at you. Plus you have meals, plus you have crisis with kids, plus you have a spouse. You've got to maintain the house. You got job responsibilities. You got your spouse's coworkers that you have things with. You have holidays. You have everything, trips, vacations, and all this planning, the stuff that comes at us can be a bit overwhelming. And so, the situation is we live in this challenging world with all these challenging things, and then we're trying to do, it's not like we farm our children out to school and there's the school stuff and we do homework. Gosh, it's everything. We're actually involved in everything, whether it's putting together the transcripts and arranging graduations and helping console a friend. Then you got birthday gifts for people, and you got to figure out what to wear and how to get things clean and all this stuff. And in this complicated world, then we have this little internet thing that bombards us with information and data, and this view here and that view there. You need to look it up, etc. And what you're having to learn to do online is you've got to improve your writing some, your speaking some, and does the camera work? And oh my gosh, I got a conflict with two softwares, how to shut that down. Whew, exhausting and a little confusing. Well, for me, it got even worse when I retired from formal work and started doing my work from home, because you get up and nothing has to tell you what to do. And so you can get bombarded with clients' needs or other people's needs. And I'd say that's the situation. That's that bombardment that you have. And if you agree, just go ahead and at least nod for a second. But when you think about that situation, the real question is, what's the problem? What's the deal with managing our time? And I'd say, really, when you think about it, and the others have pointed this out, it's more of an energy management than a time management. We all have the same amount of time. And so in managing all this energy, the trick is not the options that are out there, but our ability to focus. And if you have our focus course, you'll know that my understanding of focus is something that we come back to. So focus is about coming back. That natural state is all of us are somewhat unfocused. That's why we don't wreck when we drive, because we can look left and right, interrupt ourselves. So that's kind of the game. And I'd say the problem that you've got, the problem I've got, is focus. How do we focus? Well, some people, my mother was one, was great at putting a list out there. And she would do a list for all of her days, for all the week. And mother was very good at not letting anything off that list until it was completed. And she was really good about each day accomplishing the things she wanted to. That's a cool personality, mild dysfunction, she would describe, to which I would agree. And yet, it just didn't work for me. A list is something for me to write it all down, lose it, find it later, see how much I got done. That's always exciting. So as I thought this through as an issue of focus, how do I generate focus on the thing I need to focus on? And what I noticed is the problem was I might be focused on something, but something interrupts me, and then getting myself back to it was a bit of a challenge. And in fact, this is something pretty much they know out there, that there's a challenge that we all have. And this challenge that we have is that once we're interrupted, it can take up to 15 minutes to get back onto the topic. I mean, 15 minutes. How many interruptions a day mean that you hardly are working? That's at work. Never mind what's going on in the home, the house. And if you're like me, I like to be interrupted. So what do you do with that? Well, as you think it through, if you keep going on this path, if you keep allowing things to interrupt you, and then your ability to get back on topic might take 10 or 15 minutes, you've got a problem. Because only a few interruptions in a day, just the implication of it all, means that you're not getting much done. And if you're in that place where you're not getting much done, I think this favorite time management trick of mine is going to be an amazing thing. Now, bear in mind, you got to play with it. It's going to take some practice, but it's really quite cool. So if I could show you exactly a trick that would allow you to bring your focus back in a moment, interruption, and then it's back, interruption, and then it's back, interruption, and then it's back, what would your future be like? Well, what if you were able to actually bring your attention back on the subject within a minute or less after you've been interrupted? What would that be worth? What would your life be like? And I can predict your life will be much more productive. If you're able to bring yourself back within a minute rather than 10 or 15 minutes to the task you want to work on, it's a whole new game. So I'm going to show you a trick that I invented, stumbled over or whatever, and it's called a to-do list. Okay? So the important thing, it's not that I invented a to-do list. I know you've heard these before, but mine's different. It's spelled TWO, two. It's a to-do list. And here's how it works. I'm old school, so I really like to use these things. They're called, see what it is? See if this does it. It's not showing the lines. Oh, because I don't have the side with the lines on it. There, this is called an index card, okay? So you take this little 3x5 index card, and so I have a side with lines on it, right? Well, obviously, I have a side with lines on it somewhere in here. Well, I've got lines. Here we go. Lines. So the lines, I'm going to use it later. So first I'm going to take the blank piece on the back. And what I do is I write down the things I can think of that I need to do. So I'm going to make up a list. I need to call the surgeon. Just making this dramatic for fun. I'm going to grade the kid's writing. I'm going to read chapter 2 of my quantum mechanics book. I'm going to bathe the dogs, and I'm going to send an email advertisement for a course out to a particular list, reading list, or something like that. Okay, so I have these things, right? Call, surgeon, grade, writing, read chapter 2, quantum book, bathe the dogs, bath, whatever. Send email advertisement. I could put more things on here. So those are the things in the course of the day I want to get done. Well, the nature of the to-do list means that on this side with the lines, I'm only going to write 2 items down. And the first item is going to be the one I'm working on now. And the second item is going to be the item I'm going to work on next. Okay? So let's say that I'm going to, so my first one is grade the writing. And the second one is going to be to call the surgeon. Okay? So all I have are these 2. And it's what I'm doing now, the first one, and what I'm going to do next. See how that works? It's uncomplicated, right? So I've got these 2 things. So my thing I'm working on is grading writing. So I get the writing out, and I'm starting to grade the writing like I should, grade. And then someone calls and interrupts. There's a crisis. My sister calls me, and her cat ate a Tide Pod. What do I do, or something like that? So I accept the call, and we chat, and blah 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 blah. Okay, so when I get off the phone, what I tend to do is go, now where was I, or what do I want to work on? Yeah, I guess I could go do the dishes. I could go do something. But what I have in front of me, just right out, is this. And I go, oh yeah, grade writing. So I have grade writing right in front of me. And so I get back to grade and writing. No matter how many times I get interrupted, this to-do list is sitting right in front of me. And I know the thing to do is grade writing. So when I get the grading writing done, guess what I do? I scratch through the grading writing, right? And then I've got to put another one, because call surgeon is going to be next, immediate rather. And then I need one more. So I'll go to the back sheet and I'll see send email. So send email. And the send email is now my second one. So now I'm going to focus on call the surgeon. So I have to find the number, and I've got the number in front of me. Oh, and then one of the kids comes in, and they've spilled something all over the floor in the kitchen, and the jar broke too. Syrup. Let's make it fun. And since Jody is at tea with her bridge group, I'm just kidding, but she's gone. So I need to be involved in helping clean up the syrup and the broken jar. So I got glass now. So I go in there and fiddle with the jar and the syrup, and we mop it up and clean it up. And it's all clean. And I come back and I go, well, what do I want to do now? I think I want to check Facebook, or I want to, oh, wait a minute. I've got my to-do list. And I look at it and go, oh, yeah, call surgeon. So I've got the number, and I pick up the phone and I call the surgeon and make whatever appointment or whatever I was going to do. When I'm through with calling the surgeon, scratch it through, add a next one, and eventually you don't add one because you're done with the day. When I'm in a crisis and have too much coming at me and I need to focus, that's the thing to do. Now, I will tell you this. You might have a big project. Let's say that big project, send to email. Maybe I need to break it down into some pieces. So the first would be write. My first piece might be outline the email. The second thing might be write the email. And then the third thing would be to send it. So I might need to break it down into pieces. So I have it down, outline email. That's what I'm focused on. And then when I'm done I can write it, or maybe I do something else and come back to write it later. Let my brain work on it a little bit. That's the idea of what a to-do list is. I hope you find this helpful. I hope you give it a try. And yeah, it's copyrighted or whatever. So just to make sure you know that, let's see. Copyright Fred R. Lybrand. Okay. I'll put it 2020, but I invented it earlier. There. So, it's copyrighted. I hope you found that helpful, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.